Hello, everybody, and welcome to Church at Home with Rachel for Monday, the 2nd of February, otherwise known as Groundhog Day. I don't know whether you follow Wiarton Willie in Canada or Puxatoney Phil in Philadelphia, or who you follow, the groundhog that predicts whether or not spring will take 6 more weeks. The truth is, spring will always take 6 more weeks. It's one of those glass half empty, glass half full things. So either way, let's not get mad at the rodent. It is what it is. It will be what it will be. What I want to talk to you about, though, is Groundhog Day, the movie. Do you remember that movie with Bill Murray? As ridiculous as it sounds, I remember watching that movie 2 or 3 times in a row because I was doing a rotation in a hospital setting where I was the chaplain on call when I was doing my CPE. A friend of mine from here, not sure if he's going to see the video or not, brother um, uh, from Wisconsin, I think he's in, or Minnesota, Doug Proctor. He's just finishing up a CBE, so he'll know what I mean. But I had to do a placement. I had been doing my placement at Shadoke in Hamilton, which was a long-term care facility. But everybody, all the students had to do a placement in an emergency setting where we were on call. So I had to do mine at McMaster in Hamilton, a big university hospital. And the problem is I didn't live anywhere near there. I lived in London and drove back and forth to Hamilton every day, about a 2-hour drive. So for that weekend, I had to live in the on-call room, and there was nothing to do. The on-call room was in the middle of the building and had no windows, which was great because when you're on call, you get sleep when you can, and that could be at 2 in the afternoon. It may not be at 2 in the morning. But I ended up spending a fair amount of time in the chaplain's office, which again was inside the building, so no windows, and had a tiny little portable television, black and white, that sort of sat up on a little metal hinge. And for whatever reason, the only thing that was coming in was the movie Groundhog Day, and it was playing over and over. I don't know whether it was like the music or the movie channel or something, but so I watched this thing several times. And if you've ever watched Groundhog Day with Bill Murray, you know it can be kind of tedious because it literally goes through each day with him repeating Groundhog Day. Everything he did, the good, the bad, and the ugly, happens every day until he finally figures out that he can change things until everything changes and it all works out. Well, the fact is, we all probably have our own Groundhog Days, and it is completely up to us to change that. Now, I don't know about you, but I've had things, especially when I was a teenager, I would sleep and have these dreams that were so incredible that I wanted Groundhog Day to happen. Like, I was a pretty lonely teenager, I had friends and stuff, but I wasn't dating and everybody else was and stuff. And I'd have these dreams, very vivid dreams, great dreams, where I was out with people and somebody liked me and asked me out. And I would set up everything the next night. Like, okay, what music was I listening to when I fell asleep? I tried to set it up so that every single thing would be the same to get me to dream that dream again. It never worked. It never worked. But there were times when I wanted Groundhog Day, like Bill Murray had it, for aspects. And there have been times in my life when I've had Groundhog Day in the bad aspects. Things just keep going wrong, and I know better and I don't change them until eventually you do. So the question is, what about you? Have you had a Groundhog Day? Have you had one of those days that just keeps repeating itself over and over? Or do you have moments in your life where you do the same things? Maybe it's in your relationships where you just make the same silly, stupid, ridiculous mistakes over and over. And each time those words come out of your mouth or the action happens, and you think to yourself, you know what? I knew better. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. And you did it anyway. It happens again and again. Well, the thing is, that's about the thing about self-reflection. Once we start paying attention to what we're doing and becoming aware of the impact and the ramifications and the consequences, then we can start doing the work of changing how we think and changing how we act. Every person watching this has aspects of their lives in which they are spectacular. You are. You are just spectacular. Every person watching this also has times in your life when you are spectacularly wrong, when you just screw up completely. I know I do. And you just think to yourself, I know better. And yet I do it again. and again and again. And I get the same answer again and again. It's like Einstein. Apparently, there's a story about Albert Einstein getting in his little rowboat every morning and taking the boat out on the lake and getting stuck on the same part on the sand, the same part of the lake every morning because he didn't change his pattern. You will get the same results every time you do something. So if it doesn't work, you have to change what you're doing to get different results. We all have those Groundhog Day problems that we need to fix. So just take some time and reflect. What is it about your own life that maybe you could do a little bit differently? That you could slow down and respond a little bit differently so that you're not ending up with the same results every time. Unless, of course, they are good results, and then fill your boots. Go for it. I hope that this Groundhog Day brings you whatever you like. If you love winter, I hope it brings you 6 more weeks of winter. If you don't love winter, I hope that it helps you recognize that you only have 6 more weeks of winter. But whatever your Groundhog Day gives you, I pray that you'll reflect on it and figure out what parts you need to keep because they're awesome and which parts you need to tweak a little bit because they're not so much. Have a great day. Have a great Groundhog Day. And I'll see you again tomorrow for Church at Home with Rachel. And by the way, you are enough.